Jay Spruill, movies, music, sports, and life. And you see, I had to get into my championship bag for this vlog. And will Giannis leave us? And it's kind of funny that I said us because almost like I'm assuming that all of y'all are Milwaukee Bucks fans, or I'm assuming that y'all are from Milwaukee like I am. But we'll say us because Giannis is the type of player, and in marketing they have a term called cross generational, and what it means is that someone has appeal no matter what age you are. Michael Jordan is definitely cross generational. One of my students, as you know, I'm a educator. I wore a North Carolina hoodie, but with me, even when I wear like a hooded sweater, I still wear my tie. I still try to look um, as professional as possible, even if I throw in like a little sports or something like that with my outfit. So I had the North Carolina sky blue hoodie with the sky blue tie. And one of my students, Mr. Spruill, I really love your Tar Heel shirt, your Tar Heel sweater. And I said, I appreciate that, young man. I was like, you like North Carolina? He was like, yeah, I love them. I was who are some of the players you like? He said Jordan. Dude, it's 2022. Michael Jordan played for North Carolina in 1984. His mom was probably in elementary school in 1984. But that just shows you how cross generational the appeal of being a fan of Michael Jordan is. And I'm not necessarily sure cross generational is how I want to say it with Giannis, but I can say Giannis is so good of a player that people that are not from Milwaukee, if they are not fans of the Milwaukee Bucks, they are fans of his and they will watch him. True story until I get into this stuff about him possibly leaving us. Um One of my favorite rappers of all time and who I think is one of the greatest MCs ever to live is a guy named Tracy Curry. He's from Dallas, Texas. And he used to wear Los Angeles Kings and Los Angeles Raiders baseball caps. And he wore black because he was with NWA. So you always assume Tracy Curry was from LA or Compton. But it wasn't until much later that he started wearing Dallas Cowboy hats. I'm talking about the DOC. So one of my idols, man, got a chance to meet the DOC, chop it up with him. I showed him a picture that I drew of him when I was 12 years old, and he couldn't believe, you know, how well I was drawing as a young kid. But as we were just chopping it up, I don't know how we got on the subject of Giannis. I think I was oh, you know what I did? I told him that I loved a verse he had on his comeback album called Helter Skelter. Cause he mentioned doing the show in Chicago. And he was telling me, he said, man, I got people in Chicago, and even besides having people in Chicago, I always get a lot of love there. Like he said, they treat me like I'm from Dallas or I'm from LA when I'm in Chicago. And then he was like, speaking of that, He said, that boy y'all got, that Giannis, he was like, y'all need to get on some gangster stuff and tie him up in a room and tell him he can't go nowhere until he signed long term. He said, I don't know if y'all got to bribe some politicians or whatever y'all got to do. He said, you have to keep Giannis in Milwaukee at all costs. He said, because mark my words, he said, that dude is so good that I think that he can surpass Michael Jordan. And I thought that was kind of deep, especially coming from an outsider, coming from somebody that grew up in Dallas, spent the majority of his life in California. That's quite a statement. So, how do we get here? How do we get to the point that Giannis is even referencing Chicago? In some interview, it's really weird the way that Giannis tried to frame this. Giannis said that if you are a top-notch player and you are considered one of the best players, and you tell a reporter or you tell other people that you don't want to play for the Chicago Bulls franchise, he says you're lying. And the reason he says you're lying is because the greatest player of all time used to play there. And shout out, to Uncle Chill, my homie, because I just kind of screwed my face up when I heard that. Okay, you could make a easily. I'm still on board with Michael Jordan as the greatest player of all time. But as we go through this, why wouldn't every player then want to play for the Los Angeles Lakers? They've had Shaq, they've had Kareem, they've had Wilt Chamberlain, they've had the logo, Jerry West, Kobe Bryant. Boston Celtics, rest in peace to Bill Russell, Larry Bird, just two players. Why wouldn't every star want to play for the Boston Celtics? Because they had two of the greatest players of all time. Why wouldn't every point guard want to play for the Detroit Pistons? Just because Isaiah Thomas played there. It's really a false equivalence. False equivalency in terms of the logic that Giannis was trying to use in saying that. However, if you want to get to the crux of what's going on, not too long after Giannis delivered the first championship to my hometown city in 50 years since Kareem won along with Oscar Robertson, a GQ, Gentleman's Quarterly. How many of y'all knew that GQ stand for Gentleman's Quarterly? Anyway, in the Gentleman's Quarterly, aka GQ, Giannis made the statement that maybe eventually I will move on from Milwaukee, but it won't have anything to do with Milwaukee being too small, this not being a great place to live. He was like, my son was born here. I love it here. The people have embraced me. But after winning the title, maybe I'll just need another challenge. And maybe to prove it to myself as a player that I am a great player, maybe I need to go somewhere else to prove that I could do it there too. Then, after that happened, he got very quiet when it was time to potentially re-up with his supermax contract. He was very quiet. He was not saying anything, and people were getting worried. There was a specific rumor that he was looking to join Jimmy Butler with the Miami Heat. And the intel that I was given is that he loves Pat Riley and Pat Riley's way of doing things, such as checking players for body fat percentage, doing tough practices, stuff like that. He feels that Miami's culture aligns with his work ethic. So those rumors were out there for a second. There was even a rumor that he would try to move his way to Golden State because in most circles, people believe that Chris Middleton is his best friend, but some have said that he is as close to Steph Curry as he is to Chris. And not only is he close to Steph Curry, but they share an agent. So both of those proved not to be true. And when he re-signed with us, he kind of had, very rare for Giannis, he kind of had a nasty attitude. Like, why would any of you guys think that I was going anywhere? Because we heard the specific rumors about the teams you were interested in, and because you were quiet, and because you said in GQ after you won a title in Milwaukee, maybe you need a different challenge to prove that you could do it elsewhere. You gave us every reason in the world to think that you might be considering it. But that brings us to the present. You know, you guys aren't that interested in the past. What brought us to the point, you want to know the point. For him to choose Chicago specifically was very strategic. Because, A, if he really does love it in Milwaukee, the suburbs of Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin, as he says, he probably would not sell his house or houses that he has in Wisconsin. He would probably buy a nice mansion for himself in Chicago. But if he sincerely means it, how much he likes it in my home state, then he would probably keep the property that he has there and continue to expose his sons to Wisconsin. And having a place in Chicago would just be the convenience of playing. But you could best believe if he became a member of the Chicago Bulls and he's visiting as the opposing player at the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, he's going home after the game. He's going to be comfortable. And in that sense, he would literally own us, the Bucks, because the Bucks don't have any players that can guard Giannis if he's on the other team, and he's gonna feel like this is the Pfizer's Forum is his house, the house he built, literally, and he would be sitting right there in the Central Division to, I don't want to say torture us, but just to remind us that I used to work for you guys. So, threatening to go to a bigger city in a bigger market in the same conference, in the same division, is really putting the front office of the Milwaukee Bucks on notice, saying, yeah, I might be a nice guy, but don't play with me. Don't think that I won't do this. And you better believe that he might do it. What can the Bucks do to prevent that from happening? maybe win another title. I think that would be the only thing that would give him pause to say, maybe if I go to Chicago, I might come up short.